Morning. Today we'll learn about cancer chemotherapy drugs. Let's look into the slides. Cancer chemotherapy. What is cancer chemotherapy? Before we understand how to treat cancer, let's try to understand what is happening in cancer cells. Cancer cells have lost the function, they are de-differentiated, they metastasize, there might be genetic changes, there might be inactivation of tumor suppressor genes and activation of oncogenes. What is this different lines of treatment we have for cancer? We have surgical excision, we have irradiation where you are going to give certain kinds of radiation, chemotherapy where drugs are used, and certain immunotherapies can be used for treatment of cancer. In pharmacology, we will learn about cancer chemotherapy using drugs in the treatment of cancer. What are aims of giving anti-cancer drugs? If we give anti-cancer drugs in certain patients, we will be able to cure the disease like acute leukemias, Hodgkin's lymphoma, testicular tetraomas. We will be able to cure the disease. What is palliation? A patient has already gone into a stage where he can't be cured, but we can give him symptomatic relief by reducing the size, give him a better life to live for a little while. What is adjuvant chemotherapy? We do a irradiation or surgical excision. After that, drugs are added on to treat the patient. This is adjuvant chemotherapy. So what are the drugs which are used in anti-cancer treatment? Basically, they are classified into three groups. 1. Cytotoxic drugs, targeted drugs, and hormonal drugs. What are cytotoxic drugs? Like antimicrobial drugs which look at bacteria and they kill it. They act on the bacteria and they kill it. Similarly, these drugs act on the cancer cells and they kill it. What is targeted? Targeted means we are going to target only the cancer cells, whereas cytotoxic cells can't differentiate between the cancer cells and the normal cells. Targeted cells are going to target only the cancer cells so that the adverse effects are less. What are hormonal drugs? Using certain hormones, agonist or antagonist in the treatment of cancer. Let's try to look into cytotoxic drugs. Cytotoxic drugs are further classified into various groups. 1. Alkylating agents. In that we have again several groups like nitrogen mustards, especially cyclophosphamide, which is a very important drug, chlorambucil, ifosfamide, and melphalan. We have other drugs also like busulfan, thiotepa, procarbazine, carmastine, lomastine, dacarbazine. We have platinum compounds, namely cisplatin, carboplatin, and oxyplatin. We have antimetabolites like folic acid antagonists, pyrimidine analogues, purine analogues. We have natural products like vinca alkaloids and taxanes. We have topoisomerase 2 inhibitors, epipodophylotoxins, and topoisomerase 1 inhibitors. We also have certain antibiotics which can be used in the treatment of cancer and few miscellaneous drugs. What are targeted drugs? Targeted drugs are the act on certain specific targets exhibited by the cancer cells, like tyrosine protein kinase inhibitors, that is imatinibs, EGF receptor inhibitors, endothelial growth factor inhibitors, angiogenesis inhibitors. These are VEGF antagonists. We have proteasome inhibitors and monoclonal antibodies also. Hormonal drugs are glucocorticoids, estrogens. In estrogens, we can use agonist. Antagonists could be selective estrogen receptor modulator, selective estrogen receptor downregulators, especially used in treatment of carcinoma breast. Aromatase inhibitors, also used in the treatment of carcinoma breast. Anti-androgens, 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone analogues, and progestins. These are few hormonal drugs. So we understood anti-cancer drugs are classified into three categories: cytotoxic drugs, targeted drugs, and hormonal drugs. Now, let's try to look into what are the general toxicities of anti-cancer drugs. Before this, we need to understand a little bit about how do these cytotoxic drugs act. These act basically on cell, whether it is dividing or non-dividing. Based on that, we can also classify them into cell cycle specific and cell cycle non-specific. What does that mean? If a drug acts on all the cells, like the resting cells as well as the dividing cells, it is called cell cycle non-specific. If a drug is acting on cell cycle specific, means exclusively highly dividing cells, then we call it as cell cycle specific. In that, we can also have drugs which are acting in the S phase or the M phase or the G1 phase and the G2 phase. These are few examples. Like we have antimetabolite, antifolate drugs, pyrimidine analogs, purine analogs, topoisomerase inhibitors, histone deacetylase, hydroxyurea, and cell cycle specific M kind of drugs which inhibit M phase, vinca alkaloids, taxanes. So, why are we learning about cell cycle specific or cell cycle non-specific? Cell cycle non-specific are going to kill all the cells, whether it's dividing or the resting cells. So, adverse effects are going to be more. Cell cycle specific are going to affect the cells which are highly replicating. What does this mean? In a normal human being, highly replicating cells are found in the mucosa, intestinal mucosa, hair follicles, bone marrow. So most of the common adverse effects are going to be from these three highly replicating regions. So what are the general toxicities of cytotoxic agents? 1. Bone marrow. Bone marrow produces RBCs, WBCs and platelets. All of this is going to be reduced because they are highly fastly replicating cells, and these are affected by our anti-cancer drugs. So bone marrow, there is going to be granulocytopenia, agranulocytosis, thrombocytopenia, aplastic anemia, which can result in infections, bleeding. It also is going to affect the lympholeticular system, where our T cells and B cells are also going to be affected, which is going to result in susceptibility to infections, especially Candida, herpes, Pneumocystis jirovecii infection, toxoplasmosis. This was to do with bone marrow. Coming to the next one, that is oral cavity. Oral cavity, GI tract, also has high mucosal turnover, mucosal cell turnover. So it can result in fastly replicating cells. So it can result in stomatitis, repeated trauma, oral infections. In GIT, it can result in diarrhea, hemorrhage, mucositis. Other than this, anti-cancer drugs are more prone to cause nausea and vomiting. What we call it as cancer-induced nausea, vomiting, CINV. What you have already learnt in antiemetic drugs. There are certain drugs which are highly emetogenic, means they are known to produce more nausea and vomiting, like cisplatin, cyclophosphamide. Moderately emetogenic compounds also we have like carboplatin, doxorubicin. Mildly emetogenic drugs like bleomycin, methotrexate, vincristine. So these are the effects on GIT. It will cause diarrhea, hemorrhage due to decreased rate of dividing cells in the GI tract, and it can also directly stimulate CTZ, which is going to cause nausea and vomiting. What we call it as cancer-induced nausea, vomiting, cancer chemotherapy-induced nausea, vomiting. The other place, other than bone marrow and mucosa, the other place where it has highly rapidly dividing cells is in the skin. That is hair follicles, which are damaged by giving cancer therapy. So it can result in alopecia or hair fall, damage to the hair follicles. It can also cause dermatitis. One more important site where number of dividing cells are more is in the gonads. So it can cause oligospermia, impotence, inhibition of ovulation, amenorrhea. It can also cause mutagenesis. If this is given to a pregnant lady, the fetus can have teratogenic effects, or it can undergo abortion, fetal death, teratogenesis can happen. Giving cancer treatment can also cause carcinogenesis. So, at a younger age, probably at the age of 20, if somebody is exposed to cancer chemotherapy, irradiation, secondary to that, in the age of 40, 45, he can develop secondary cancers. One more important adverse effect is hyperuricemia. Hyperuricemia is due to mass destruction of the cells, which happens with cancer chemotherapy. Because a lot of cells are destroyed, there is going to be lot of uric acid which is going to be produced. How do we protect the patient from this? By giving allopurinol. How do we protect the patient from hyperuricemia? Give allopurinol. And there could be specific individual adverse effects for each anti-cancer drugs, like vincristine causing neuropathy, cyclophosphamide causing cystitis, doxorubicin causing cardiomyopathy. We'll look into each of them. So till now we understood the several lines of treatment for cancer chemotherapy, for cancer, which includes surgical excision, immunotherapy, cytotoxic drugs and irradiation. In cancer chemotherapy, we understood there are cytotoxic drugs, there are targeted drugs, there are hormonal drugs. For cytotoxic drugs, we also understood what are the general toxicities these can produce, and we also understood what is cell cycle specific and cell cycle non-specific cancer chemotherapy drugs. Let's look into each of the cytotoxic drugs. First, alkylating agents. In that, let's try to learn about nitrogen mustards. First, what are nitrogen mustards? What are alkylating agents? Examples, we have cyclophosphamide, ifophosphamide, melphalan, chlorambucil. First, let's try to understand what is the mechanism of action of alkylating agents. Alkylating agents produce highly reactive carbonium ion intermediates. Means we have this, they inhibit DNA synthesis. How does this happen? This happens by transferring an alkyl group which is present in the alkylating drugs to purine and pyrimidine bases by covalent bonding. So what happens here is, due to alkalization, we have seen there will be pairing of cytosine, guanosine, your purine and pyrimidine bases. This alkylating agents are going to cause intra-strand linkage and cross linkage. Intra-strand and cross linkage. Because of this, there are going to be breaks. There are going to be breaks in the DNA. So, what is it going to do? It is going to produce a highly reactive carbamonium compound, which is going to give an alkaline group to the purines and the pyrimidines, thus inhibiting DNA synthesis. How does this happen? This happens by cross-linking, abnormal base pairing and scission of the DNA, that is breakage of the DNA. Among this, N7 of guanine is particularly susceptible for this alkylating agents. So these have cytotoxic activity, these have used for cytotoxic activity, immunosuppressants and mutagenic radiomimetic actions, and they can produce severe vomiting, nausea and vomiting. Most of them are cell cycle non-specific, means it affects both rapidly dividing and slowly dividing or resting cells. So it produces the cross linkage at the N7 of the guanine. So let's look into where these drugs are used. Chlormethamine is used as a nitrogen, first used nitrogen mustard, used intravenously. Where do we use it? We use it in Hodgkin's disease, Hodgkin's lymphoma. There are several regimes which we can use for cancer chemotherapy. One of them is the MOP regime. It is a part of it. M is meclomethamine. What are the adverse effects? We know it can cause anorexia, severe nausea, vomiting, myelosuppression, that is bone marrow suppression, and local reactions due to extravasation. The one more very important compound which is used in anti-cancer therapy is cyclophosphamide. This is also an anti-alkylating agent, anti-cancer drug, alkylating agent. It is a prodrug. It is converted into aldol phosphamide and phosphoramide mustard, and acrolein. This molecule acrolein is known to cause hemorrhagic cystitis. So where do we use this? We use it in solid tumors. There's one more thing we need to learn here. Cyclophosphamide metabolism is going to produce acrolein, which is cytotoxic. How can we reduce the adverse effects of this acrolein, which produces hemorrhagic cystitis? We use Mesna. What is Mesna? Mesna has a SH in it. SH, which is going to bind to SH, which is going to bind to acrolein, which is going to detoxify it. So adverse effects of acrolein, that is hemorrhagic cystitis, the incidence of it is going to come down. Other than that, we need to give lot of fluid and lot of intravenous fluids. This is going to reduce the adverse effects of cyclophosphamide. Cyclophosphamide is a 10 marker. Please remember. It can be given orally, intravenous, IM. It is where it is used. It is used in lymphomas, chronic lymphatic leukemias, and all solid tumors. It's also used as a immunosuppressive, where we have to suppress the immunity, like in organ transplant, rheumatoid arthritis, and nephrotic syndrome. The other compound is ifosfamide. This is a cyclophosphamide analog. Where do we use it? Again, solid tumors. This is less toxic and less emetogenic, less nausea and vomiting compared to that of cyclophosphamide. We can give Mesna along with this because it has a SH compound in it. It binds and reduces the vesicotoxicity, that is hemorrhagic cystitis. The other drugs in this category are melphalan. Melphalan, it is the drug of choice for multiple myeloma, and it is also used in ovarian cancers. What are the adverse effects, common complications? Bone marrow suppression, infections. It can cause secondary infections, diarrhea, and pancreatitis. Chlorambucil is a very slow acting drug. It is used for lymphoid tissue, and it is specific for lymphoid tissue and myeloid tissue. So we use it in chronic lymphatic leukemia, non-Hodgkin's, and few solid tumors. Busulfan is a drug which is the drug of choice for chronic myeloid leukemia. The most important adverse effect busulfan causes is pulmonary fibrosis and skin pigmentation. Pulmonary fibrosis is due to the destruction of pneumocytes type 2 in the lungs. So we learnt about alkylating agents. Alkylating agents donate an alkylate group which causes cross-linking, especially at the guanosine N7, thus forming scission of the strands, DNA breakage. So alkylating agents, we learnt about cyclophosphamide, ifosfamide, melphalan, thiotepa, busulfan. Let's now try to look at the next group, that is platinum-based compounds, cisplatin, carboplatin, and oxyplatin. Cisplatin, carboplatin, and oxyplatin. What are these? These are similar to alkylating agents. They are also going to act on the N7 of the guanine residue, and the SH group of the cytoplasmic nuclear proteins they bind to. What do? They also produce cross-linking of the DNA. But these are platinum-based compounds. Where are we going to be using this? These are effective in testicular and ovarian cancers, lung, bladder, and esophagus. Cisplatin belongs to the first generation of platinum compounds. These are highly emetogenic. The toxicity is really high with renal toxicity, tetanus, tinnitus, deafness, sensory neuropathy, hyperuricemia, and shock-like state with IV infusion is produced. Here it is seen where cisplatin binds to the N7, causing cross-linkage, thus causing DNA damage, which results in cell death. Carboplatin belongs to the less reactive second generation platinum compounds. These are better tolerated, lesser side effects. Nausea, vomiting are lesser with carboplatin. Carboplatin, where do we use it? We use it in carcinomas of ovarian origin, epithelial origin, and squamous cell carcinoma, small cell lung carcinoma, and breast carcinoma. Oxaliplatin belongs to the third generation compounds. For this, resistance is not that easily developed. We also use it in colorectal, gastroesophageal, and pancreatic carcinoma. With this, the adverse effects are less. Adverse effects with alkylating agents are more. Nausea, vomiting is more. Here, especially with carboplatin and oxaliplatin, which belongs to the second and third generation, the adverse effects are lesser. With this, we finish the platinum-based compounds. In cytotoxic drugs, we learnt about alkylating agents and platinum-based compounds. Next, let's try to learn about the next group, that will be antimetabolites, natural products, topoisomerase 1 and 2 inhibitors, antibiotics, and miscellaneous drugs in the next class. Thank you.